Howdy folks, I'm Gentle Little Glassy Wing, gracefully gliding over green glens.
I'm Amber.
And here are more green glens for us to glide over, just like we're going an alien flying saucer, making ourselves some of those gigantic works of art in fields. I can't remember what they're
Crop
called.
circles.
Crop circles, that's the word. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Fiancée That the Lunches She Packed for Me Were Embarrassing? I'm a 28-year-old male and my fiancée is a 25-year-old female, and we have been together for 4 years. She makes my lunch every day, which the food itself is always great, but the presentation always was embarrassing. I work in an office with mostly men my own age, and opening it up in front of them always got me some comments. Like, she loves to bake things fresh for my lunch, but would always bake things in little shapes, mostly hearts. She would also pack things in mason jars and write me little notes saying that she loves me, and the guys would try to read it and it got annoying. So I told her that it was embarrassing and just to pack it normally. I feel bad now that she doesn't do it anymore. Even on days when I work from home and nobody would see it, she stopped doing it, and I saw her right after I said it, scrubbing down all the jars that she already had written on. Afterwards, she said something like, "Oh, sorry, I just thought that it would make you smile." I was thinking that maybe I should have just dealt with the comments. Lol. Edit. I get it. Genuinely didn't think that it was that big of a deal, but I'm going to take your word and apologize for it. Alright folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad Opie's gonna apologize, but that was not a cool move. And it seems like he's more concerned about his
Currying favor with
his
his...
coworkers.
Yeah.
Like, if they are that jealous and immature, then like, are they really like? I know you need a good working relationship, but like, come on. If someone's like, "Oh, is your wife sending you love notes?" Why aren't you just like, "Yeah, your wife doesn't do that." I mean, not that anyone should feel obligated to do it, but like, they are probably feeling more insecure about their own relationships or jealous or something like that.
Fellas, is it gay to have your wife love you?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, what are you worried about here? Like, I mean, just say to them, "Oh, sorry that I have a wife that actually loves me and wants to show me appreciation." Like, I mean, how's that going to come across? These people are bullies, right? If these people are giving OP a hard time, then either one, he can confront them and make a snappy comment like, my wife just loves me and I love her, so I don't care. I'm really appreciative of the messages that she sent me. And I guarantee that after OP said something like that they would stop because they can see that it wouldn't bother him, right?
Hmm.
The only reason why they're harassing him at all is because it's somehow is bothering him.
Right. And like, is your ego really that fragile that like a few comments from your coworker about your wife's sweet gestures are enough to make you be like, stop doing this, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. And I feel so bad for this poor woman who's
Mm-hmm.
put all this time, energy, love, and effort into making him these great meals, and only to be being like, your love is too much,
Yeah. It's
right? It's
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
Like she was just trying to make him smile, just trying to do something to brighten his day. And he's like, stop being embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I personally love it when, Brian will do like a little lovey things for me with my food. I think it's adorable. And so I would be so heartbroken if I was the wife in that situation. So,
Yeah. It's a sad situation. I feel so bad for her because I can see how much effort she's put into this, and it just seems like he's, just discarding it and being like, by the way, don't do this. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Anonymous Moosehead123 says, so make your own lunch? Then you can make it all manly, so you don't feel embarrassed in front of people who don't love you. And OP replies, not very manly to make your own lunch either, lol.
I feel like having basic life skills is very manly or womanly or whatever gender you are. Like it's very adultly.
No, starving is manly. And with JFG says, solution, pack your own lunch. And OP replies, I mean, I pay for everything that she has. It's not a relationship where she's doing all this on top of paying bills, lol. And Cool says, wow, just wow. See, ladies, this is at least 50% of the way towards financial abuse. They want you to be a trad wife so that they can own you. I pay for everything that you have, so only do stuff the way that I like it. And OP replies, I promise this couldn't be further from the truth. I was just saying that we have different roles. And I mean, different roles in relationships are fine, but the way OP is phrasing things is a little concerning.
It is concerning the way he seems to be positing it as, well, I have the money, so this is the least she could do type of thing.
Yeah.
That is very gross.
And Professor Distinct 835 says, you're the jerk. She got joy out of it and you're stopping her. The guys at your office were probably jealous. It's not like you had a Scooby-Doo lunchbox, right? And OP replies, no, but pulling out a heart-shaped cookie and a jar that she drew a giant pink heart on and wrote I love you 50 times on it is a tad embarrassing as a grown man, lol. Although, I'm going to apologize and maybe learn to deal with the comments if she wants to start doing it again.
I just don't see how that's embarrassing. To like, I don't get these people.
Like, it's so embarrassing that I have somebody who loves me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, embarrassing. If you're embarrassed that your wife loves you, then maybe you should not be married.
Yeah.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for doing chores while my landlord was fixing my door? So, I'm a 23-year-old female, and I'm living in an apartment with my partner that is essentially the bottom floor of a 2-story house, and my landlord is a 50-year-old female. She occupies the upstairs apartment. Over the past couple of weeks, my landlord has been popping down to fix my door because the plate on the doorway fell out. The other day, I had just gotten home from work when she texted asking if she could come down and finish the repairs. So I told her yes. I went inside and I decided to do some of the cleaning while I was waiting for her, since I knew that I was going away for the weekend. And I would honestly rather do the cleaning and prep for my dinner before getting showered and clean and comfy. Well, the landlord showed up while I was dealing with the recycling. I let her in and then went back to breaking down all the boxes and stacking cans inside of each other so that I could stuff as much in one bag as possible before taking it out. Landlord and I made some small talk about our jobs and the upcoming vacations and stuff like that. She cracked a joke about how I must want to get showered off and cleaned from my job. I work long shifts at a somewhat messy job, and I said that I was fine and I just wanted to get some chores done first. I kept breaking down boxes and chatting. She finished up, and as soon as she was leaving, she asked me point blank if I didn't trust her to be in the apartment alone. I was honestly really surprised by the question and asked why she would think that, and she told me that nobody breaks down boxes for recycling at home, and it was clear that I was just trying to find an excuse to keep an eye on her. I laughed because I thought that at this point she was making a joke, and then I said that I like to break down boxes to save room and make less trips. She brought up a previous situation from a few months back where she had come down a couple of times with her boyfriend to make some minor repairs in the bathroom, and it took a while, like a week, for them to find the right time because their work schedules and mine and my partner's work schedules didn't line up super well. And partner and I had made it clear that when trying to set up a date that one of us would like to be present. She said messing around in the kitchen the entire time that she was there fixing the door made it seem like my partner and I don't trust her to be alone in the apartment, and thought that she would snoop and that we looked like we had something to hide. I told her that I kind of understood where she was coming from, but that my partner and I just like to be present in case that we're needed, and also like to be aware of what is changing and how the repairs are made. Landlord just shrugged and said that she feels iced out in her own home and hopes that we can be more neighborly in the future. I said, okay, I hope so too. And then she left looking kind of upset. This was Thursday and I still feel weird about it. I told my partner, who thinks that the landlord was out of pocket, but I'm wondering if maybe there's something that I'm missing here. Was I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. And it's weird that the landlady wants to be alone in the apartment. This is not her home anymore. It is a rental unit that she is renting out. It is your home for all intents and purposes. And, you know, landlords don't get like unrestricted access to your home. You know, there are very specific rights spelled out according to your state. And so honestly, I would consider putting up some cameras potentially in case she is trying to access this when you're not home or something, because I'm getting really weird vibes from her whole interaction there, because there's nothing weird about breaking up boxes for recycling or wanting to be present when maintenance is being done on your place.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's going to have their own preferences, and it isn't suspicious to want someone home while somebody's inside of your place doing work, right? And that's just the reality of the situation. And I think her saying that she feels iced out of her own home, well, I mean, if you don't want to feel iced out of your own home, then don't rent out your bottom floor, right?
Right.
Plain and simple. Once you are a landlord and you have a property that you're renting out, that space is not yours to move in and out of as you please.
Mm-hmm.
You still own the property, but you no longer have you have given up rights, certain rights to that property, like the right to actually be in it anytime you want. And I do agree with Amber here. I think that getting a camera to monitor the situation might be a prudent thing to do given the way she's kind of acting here. And I think that maybe OP should consider looking for another apartment.
Yeah.
Because, like, now that she's kind of upset at them, this might be a case where she tries raising rent and she might be, more picky at OP and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I don't see this going well in the future. And, the whole, oh, well, maybe next time you can be more neighborly reads to me as, let me be alone in your home. And, like, you shouldn't do that. So then, like, what's going to happen the next time you want to be there while she's doing maintenance?
Yeah. I mean, I understand that maybe it was inconvenient for her, that last incident where they were trying to basically be in the home at the same time and had their schedules line up and stuff like that. But if you're renting out a property, that's expected. Like, there are going to be cases where schedules have to line up certain ways and stuff like that.
Well, and it protects everyone involved. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of places would prefer to have homeowners present when maintenance is being done, just so there can be no question of theft or invasion of privacy or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Tundra Queen 8812 says, the better question would be, why does she want to be alone in your apartment without you there? That's creepy. Not the jerk. And I wouldn't trust her with comments like that. And I would ensure that I or partner was always there in the future anytime she was there. That's just too weird. And Mountain Flower 68 says, especially with her in her own home line. It's not her home. Makes me wonder if she is a first-time landlord. Also, I always break down my own boxes at home. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
And Whiskers says, I used to work in property management and often had to remind owners that while the premises are being leased, it's not your own home. It's the renter's home. Exactly. And Beneficial Math 2300 says, I wish someone besides me had told my last landlord that. It was the first time that they had owned a rental property. I kept having to tell them that it wasn't okay to sit outside of my front door and stare inside whenever I opened it. I don't know how they did it, but they actually called my dad and complained about how they thought that I lived my life. I was a 36-year-old single mother at the time of my 11-year-old son. Dad turned around, bought me a little house that we're still living in today to get us away from that. Well, that's a happy ending.
Yeah.
Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for removing all the phone tracking from my parents who kept using it to see my location for non-emergencies? Here's the situation. I'm a 24-year-old female and I'm married and I live in a different state than my parents. I've had iPhones, Find My Friends app, since I had my phone at 12 years old that my parents set up. When I got married, my husband found it strange that my parents could see my location once we moved out, but I just figured that they would want it for safety. Well, come 2 years later, my brother, a 21-year-old who still lives with my parents, gave me a heads up that my parents were judging my actions based on my location. I figured that it would be a good time to remove that app anyways, and thus deleted their ability to see my location. This blew up into a whole situation where my parents are now saying that I was providing them with comfort and safety to know where I was, and that it was just a mishap and a bad day for them. Additionally, my dad decided to retaliate and remove my access from all streaming services that he paid for and threatened to remove my brother from the Wi-Fi for tattling as well. Am I the jerk for removing them from seeing my location? My husband has never heard of parents seeing their kids' location once they moved out, but my parents seem to think that it's the end of the world. Just wanted to get other people's thoughts. Thanks. Edit. Thank you all for the advice and thoughts. I originally posted as I've heard other families sharing location as adults, and so I felt like the odd one out for not wanting to do this. However, you guys have helped me realize that this is not normal. Additionally, I wanted to make a mention that I'm completely fine paying for my own streaming services, and I already pay for the ones that don't allow sharing on my own. This is the only thing that my parents had been providing financially. I brought it up as a point of their reaction to help provide some context to the situation. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, it is totally reasonable to want privacy as an adult. Your parents are not entitled to know where you are. I don't think, good on the brother for telling OP what the parents were doing with this information. It's like they need to get hobbies instead of sitting around on their phones monitoring OP's location and judging her life.
Yeah.
If they're going to be jerks, then maybe give them a little time out.
Yeah, I mean, I understand their concern with, wanting to make sure that OP is safe, right? But that's not what they're doing here, right? They were sitting around watching OP's location and then making judgments on it, which isn't something good to do. Like, I would say that if you were monitoring someone's location, this should be if they went missing or something like that, let's pull up the, location. Or, they are driving back home after, visiting us or something like that, and we just wanted to make sure that they got home safe, or type of thing, right?
Right, although even with those, usually like a text can suffice, like, I mean, obviously not if you're literally missing, but like, got home safely. Like, I think it's one thing to ask for, like, and like, I also don't think you're necessarily obligated to provide it, but it's one thing for a parent to ask, hey, you're driving, 6 hours, I just want to know you get home safely, it would put my mind at ease, versus sitting on the phone, watching OP's location, being like, I can't believe she's stopping at Taco Bell. What is she doing with her life?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that there's a world of difference there. And I mean, I think that OP did the right thing. And it shows the fact that they were trying to use the streaming services to punish her, what they kind of feel, what their true intentions are here, right?
Right. And it's very clear that they don't see her as an adult either, because they are trying to punish her like a child.
So they're taking away things because they're like, well, if you aren't going to behave and aren't going to act the way we want you to, then we're going to take these things away from you. We're grounding you from Netflix.
They're using the one bit of leverage they have.
Yeah.
And I think take away that leverage they have, pay for your own streaming services. And also potentially, again, like maybe be like, all right, Mom and Dad, you have behaved badly. I'm putting you in timeout. You're not going to hear from me for X amount of time.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What did the marine mammals say when they got in trouble?
They said, man Ray.
I don't think so. Neither SpongeBob or Patrick are mammals. Just FYI.
I don't care. It made sense to me.
I didn't do it on oh goodness, I hurt myself with this joke. Are they porpoises? Yeah, I didn't do it on porpoise.
I like mine better. Not that like your show was bad. I just like the whole Man Ray thing.
I mean, it's a great SpongeBob episode. It's very quotable. And today is National Dolphin Day.
Oh, go find yourself a dolphin, but preferably not in a can of tuna.
Yeah, that was a very sad thing.
And I have Mega Mint.
Brian making this show morbid.
It's kind of my role. I mean, that's what I get paid for. That's why they pay me the $10 million per episode that I get paid for doing this
You're
show.
getting $10 million per episode. I thought we were getting like pennies from you two.
Well, from YouTube we are, but from my billionaire handlers, I'm getting paid millions of dollars per episode.
I think we might need to have some conversations about finances.
Oh, the government taxes it all, so I'm left with 10 cents per episode.
Is that so?
Yeah, that's so. I don't get to keep any of the money. Sorry, it's one of these things where I can boast about it, but I can't keep the money.
That doesn't seem like a very, very useful thing then.
I mean, it adds to my pride.
Pride before the fall.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, how about not being a jerk?
Be considerate of the people around you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.